You're listening to the Light Novel Podcast. Visit us online at lightnovelpodcast.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Light Novel Podcast. On this episode, we're going to take a look back at our favorite reads from 2020, and we're going to talk a little bit about titles that we're looking forward to checking out in 2021. I'm Justus Stone, and with me tonight, I have Bio Gundam.
Voice module online. Audio functionality test initialized.
Jeez. Oh my god. You know what? Please don't do the whole podcast like that, but that would be pretty funny, honestly. I have Jean-Luc.
Cheap version, French Canadian activated.
I have Kyle.
Hola, you know, stupid microphone.
It's all good, man. You're there. That's what counts. Mirage.
Good morning.
And Terrence.
What's up?
All right. So we're going to get started off now. Dear listeners, there have been a ton of light novel to anime adaptations announced, but because it's either late at night or early in the morning for most of us, we're not going to go through the 8,000 anime announcements.
Plus, most of them are going to be shit anyway, so...
Way to have that positive go-to attitude, Bio. That's awesome. Although I can't say I totally disagree. In any case, there are, however, 3 light novel licenses that just got kind of like announced out of nowhere by Yanon, because I guess they were bored, and I don't know, maybe they just kind of felt like, hey, with the US having an insurrection happen, maybe we should deliver some happy news to the fandom. I don't know. In any case, they've licensed 3 titles, and they're pretty big because 2 of them are off of the most recent Kono light novel Gasugoi. First one is Spy Classroom. This one written by Takemachi with illustrations by Tomari. Began in book publication back in January of 2020, so a relatively newer series, 4 volumes published so far to date in Japan. A world where wars are fought with spies. With a mission success rate of 100%, the remarkable, yet rather difficult to deal with spy Klaus is being tasked with an almost impossible mission by the agency, harboring an insane 90% chance of failure and death, which, for some reason, involves 7 inexperienced girls? Which I've been told, funny enough, this hasn't turned into any kind of harem or anything so far, so I really don't know. But sounds like kind of an alt reality type series.
Yeah, I remember when that one like first came out, they did like a trailer, and I want to say all the female characters had like major voice actors attached to them, like immediately from like the preview. So I don't know if they were trying, you know, obviously it's been a Kono light novel. It's got, I think, how many volumes? 4 volumes out by now. So I feel like they're trying to push this one, like maybe it's going to have an anime at some point. I don't think it's been announced for anything yet, but
If they have
I wouldn't be
voice
surprised.
actresses,
PV. Yep.
Like for
Yeah,
like the PV for like for the ad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So next up, they licensed The Detective is Already Dead. This one written by Nigoziu, with illustrations by Umi Bozu. Began publication back in November of 2019. This also has 4 volumes released to date in Japan. The story of Tante Wamo Shinderu follows Kimihiko Kimitsuka, a young man who 4 years ago became the assistant of a mysterious detective known as Siesta on a hijacked airplane. Together, Kimihiko and Siesta went on mind-boggling, globe-trotting adventures while combating a secret organization. But all of that came to an end when they were separated by Siesta's death. In the present day, Kimihiko tries to return to an ordinary, boring life as a high school student, but things are never that simple, even though the detective is already dead. So this one, it's actually funny enough, this one they just announced today or yesterday that it's getting an anime adaptation. So,
Yeah.
when you're talking about Spy Classroom, same number of volumes, it wouldn't surprise me if we hear something about it getting
And also,
an
funny
anime.
enough, we had this same series in last year's Best of 2019 podcast in the news segment.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah? Well, I
Yeah.
can't remember what that news segment was about.
I don't even remember either. I just listened to it recently, and I remember that this was in it also.
Yeah, well, this is a
The
series.
thing of those news segments is that you remember we did the news, but not the actual content of the news.
We only remember them because
the
the
news segment was 50 minutes long.
So it's just a wash. It's all gone. It just came over you like a wave, and it's gone. Besides, like, it would almost be an ASMR at this point because, like, it's so old that it's like it doesn't even matter anymore. All right, so the last one that they have is I'm the villainous daughter, so I'm keeping the last boss. This one written by Nagase Sarasa, illustrations by Murasaki Mai. This began back in September of 2017. There's 8 volumes in Japan. Due to the shock of having my engagement broken, I was able to recover the memories of my previous life. This is the world of the Otome game of my previous life, is it not? If so, then as the villainess, I'll get caught up in the battle between the heroine and the Demon King and die. Please tell me this is a joke. If so, then I'll avoid that death flag by conquering the last boss, the Demon King, myself. This is the story where the villainess gives the heroine her former fiancé and childhood friend their just desserts, starts her own enterprise, increases subordinate counts, and gets loved by the Demon King.
We've got capitalism.
Yeah.
We've got demon kingship. This sounds like a great story.
Well, it's got a manga adaptation as well. And it was kind of funny because Yen, when they announced this, had the manga cover for their announcement, but they said it was the light novel. And so, yeah, I think they've clarified since then it is the light novel, but yeah, so. But they, as far as I know, they haven't licensed some manga, so I don't really know how that happened. Somebody went oops. Somebody oopsed. It's all good.
Do you remember when they oopsed, like, there was like a Persona manga that I know this is total tangent, but there was like some Persona manga and they're like, yep, we licensed it. And then like 2 days later, they were like, oh no, we didn't license it.
Oops.
Was it the 1st of April?
It was like an Anime Expo.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody was wishing it was the 1st of April. They were like, ah, crap. I guess I can't say October Fool's Day or something anyway. Yeah, so it was just very strange. Like, and there was no warning whatsoever. Then they dropped like 3, I think, manga titles as well. One of them is the manga adaptation of The Eminence in Shadow. So, so I guess that series has done okay for them because they've obviously picked up the manga of it as well. So, yeah. But yeah, so it was kind of weird. They just dropped these titles out of nowhere. And I mean, certainly I would think Spy Classroom and The Detective is Already Dead. Both are kind of pretty A-list titles given the notoriety they've had over the past year. And, again, they made Kono light novel Gasugoi this past year. And so, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, although it doesn't surprise me seeing that there's an anime announcement for The Detective is Already Dead, that they scooped this one up before anyone else.
I'm thinking the other one, they probably just maybe the owning publisher, I think it's Katakawa, is probably like trying to push them to put it out like before the anime's debut. I don't know.
It could be. Oh yeah, like I mean that kind of stuff happens all the time, right? I know we've even in talking to Sam, sometimes he's like, yeah, it's not that they always tell us, but you kind of get the nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Maybe you should take this one. Yeah. So, well. All right. Now, so on to 2020, the year that I'm sure some of us wish we could forget, but probably never will, because wow, a lot of stuff happened. Crazy stuff. But on the upside, it was a pretty damn good year for light novel fans. We got a lot of titles and like holy crap, a crap ton of announcements of stuff that's coming out this year. In fact, just as we were starting up the podcast, I was saying in the month of February alone, there are 11 brand new series debuting. It's debuting. See, it is late at night. I can't even speak straight anymore. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty big year, 2021 for light novels. Some really big and cool looking titles coming out. In any case, let us talk about the year that was and talk about what we enjoyed. Bio Gundam, did you want to start?
Yeah, I've sort of come up with a few series that I enjoyed this year. I think the first one is My Next Life as a Villainess, Buckarina. So, this was one of those series where I sort of grew to like it. It took a couple of reads, a couple of volumes to get into it, but it's just I just find it this really endearing series about this woman who's in a high social status. However, she's just this complete and utter idiot, and just gets up to all these fucking adventures. It's great. It's very endearing.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's like you'd expect a person, has to be a refined lady of the court and be, the court of love and all these power politics plays. You have to be relatively intelligent and charismatic and socially smart. And this woman is the complete opposite. And just watching her humble and stumble and bumble through high court politics is great. And then you have this love triangle. And then there's a book where she unlocks dark magic and she can summon this fucking dark demon dog from hell, and she's playing fetch with it, and I'm just aw. She's so endearing that even the creatures of the Neverworld will coo to her.
And since we're already talking about this series, we can mention that the anime is getting a second season.
Yes, well, that was just posted on Twitter as we're starting to record. Yeah, so if you like the first season, which was only the first 2 volumes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get through the whole anime. I watched part of it and then I got distracted.
Yeah, man. It also reminds me quite a few shoujo stuff, so it's definitely a different read. It's one of those series that I find quite endearing in a sense.
Oh yeah, well, and it's probably one of the few series I would say that I'm totally pulling for the Yuri route.
I mean,
For
the
which
situations and scenarios sound ridiculous.
Yeah, which one?
Oh, it's Maria, the heroine, man. Maria and Katarina, that's totally my jam. Yeah.
Hot.
Really?
Yeah,
because
but it's despite how idiotic it is at times, you can kind of you almost yourself as the reader get brought in by her her idiotic charm. She's just this giant I'm pretty sure if a person like this exists in real life, she would just have the charisma of The Rock. Just 10 times. She just has this charisma that draws everything around her. She's the sun in a solar system, and all the characters are planets just revolving around her, and they get drawn into her gravity. That is her charisma. But
I think it's part. I think the sense that I got from that book, and the thing that I like about it, is just that everybody seems to really just love her because of how just open and honest she is. And I mean, it's funny because we as the reader know that she's kind of hiding this big secret, but outside of that, the way she treats people is just so without airs and no, just completely unguarded.
Well, because she's a normal girl that was raised in a modern day society, and she is exactly either a princess or someone of privilege, so she wouldn't understand those social nuances that the rich or the wealthy upper crust do.
Yeah,
or the one-upmanship. Entire wars are literally started because 2 nobles wanted to one-up each other. But anyway, enough about that. But yeah, really endearing series, and you just, I kind of find myself sort of endeared to the main character, which takes a while. Second book I actually quite liked this year, I think, was A Certain Magical Index New Testament. It actually ended this year. And and then Genesis Testament came around, and New Testament fucking ended with a fucking bang. You've got like Accelerator, who like
don't spoil it. It might one day come out here.
oh come on, I'll do it. I'm gonna do it anyway. Fuck you. Like you got Accelerator, who like tames a demon to work for him and basically be like his fucking lackey. You've got Toma for some reason, so he gets his arm cut off again.
Again?
Yep.
I was gonna say again.
Oh no! Here's the kicker. His the arm they got cut off, it grows back again into another version of him. And now that he doesn't have his Imagine Breaker, he now has the ability to transform into this giant fuck-off dragon.
Wow.
What?
Okay.
Okay. Wow. All right. So let's
and they
just
have a fight.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
Buckingham Palace.
I want an anime, a good animated one.
like
You
They
won't get a good
literally
anime.
fight in Buckingham Palace, and the Queen is like, "Oh my dear," he's like, "Oh Charles, there seems to be a dragon in the ballroom."
Okay, this sounds like the worst fucking fan fiction that I have ever heard.
The author of the Magical Index is a fucking machine. He's literally what my buddy Paul Slate from Port Jove or Paul Slate would call the human content machine. He just keeps going and going and going.
Well, and I mean, honestly, it just based on the little bit you just said, I think it's because he just does not give a crap. Like, he's like, yeah, this is crazy. I'm writing it.
Yeah, and then Genesis Testament gets even more wild because there's like, they're fighting like Santa. Toma gets injured in the hospital and he gets like, visited from naughty nurses.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Accelerator for some reason is in jail. Now he's doing like lifts and stuff. He's got to get some gains.
Oh Jesus! So
you almost had me when Accelerator tamed the demon, but then you had to ruin it with arms regrowing into persons and transforming into dragons.
Oh, it's wild.
Maybe
it's such a you don't want to get off Toma's wild ride.
Maybe the author saw read some. High School DxD and thought, hey, a dragon might be a good idea.
Well, I mean, it's not the first time sort of a dragon has been associated with Toma's arm, right? Like, so...
it's all the way back in volume 2.
Well, this time he turned into like an actual dragon. Like, he's like this energy dragon thing that's like yellow and blue. And it's like it's like wings and shit, and he just literally flies and crashes into Buckingham Palace while they're having a ball, and then Fus Radar.
And let me guess, he's still just a fucking level 0 nobody, right?
Yes. He can transform into an energy dragon and fly around and shoot lasers, but still level 0. I'm sorry, Toma. Yeah, you see this little like knob here thing? Yeah, it didn't go up. You don't have you're still a level 0 Esper.
Right? Can you like?
I don't know what this is. This possibly could be the atmosphere, or it's probably gravity. It's probably gravity, man.
Oh God!
If it's magic, it doesn't show up on the Esper scale.
Well, so then it's magic. Yeah, but oh wow, okay. Well, that series sounds
Genesis
like it certainly
Testament
goes out
is
there.
Fun. Genesis Testament is fun as shit. You got Accelerator in jail with XCOM give it to you, like playing in the background as he give those gains.
Oh Jesus!
With the demon like of his as his like coach, XCOM give it to you. Third book. It's probably a tie between. Let me go find it because I had it written down somewhere just in case I forgot. Where is it?
But then you forgot the paper. That's good.
Yeah.
Fuck is it? What was the third one? Fuck. I forgot. Doesn't matter. Oh yes, I now remember. I actually quite liked. I read a little bit of like Eminence and Shadow, and that the supervillain organization one. I actually thought they were both very charming.
All right,
Just because I liked the idea of a guy being like, I've got all these superpowers, but there's no evil conspiracy. There's no cloak and dagger shit. I'm just gonna make this shit myself, and I'm just gonna make this convoluted bullshit threat that I myself invented. And then invent a group of people to combat this bullshit convoluted threat that I invented. Like it's just funny, It's like a parody or a satire of like superhero shit, like a One Punch Man.
Oh yeah.
And just Eminence and Shadow. Aside from like the itchiness factor of him, like, ooh, I've got shadow powers. I'm like a La Sombra from Vampire the Masquerade. Let me just summon the oblivion, and the abyss. I just like the idea of this guy spouting bullshit and all of it's true.
See, and that's the thing about that series too, is like I thought that would be more of a joke running gag throughout the whole thing. Like an even bigger
But it's
joke
100%
about things,
serious.
but it's like it is really, it's fun. Yeah, it is kind of,
don't drink the tea.
funny.
It's like, don't drink the tea. It's been replaced with poison, or some poison that turns the frogs gay, and then it turns out, wait, there is actually poison, and there's actually an evil cult.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
it's like Alex Jones, the light novel. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, all the stuff he says is coming true.
The lizard men are coming for us all. All right, Jean-Luc, what was 2020 for you?
All right. So, I'll start with number 3.
Okay.
I'll start off where Bio left up. So, my number 3 for 2020 is Skeleton Knight in Another World.
Okay.
So I'll just go over the synopsis since we didn't do any podcast or didn't really get into the meat of things. So one day a gamer played video games because that's what gamers do until he fell asleep. And when he woke up, he found himself in the game world as a skeleton, equipped with the powerful weapons and armor of his avatar, but stuck with its frightening skeletal appearance. Ark has to find a place for himself in this new fantastical land. All his hope for quiet life are dashed when he crosses paths with a beautiful elven warrior, setting him on a journey full of conflict and adventure. So basically, it's a toned down, fluffy Overlord.
Yeah, not wrong.
Well, it's a nice fantasy story. Nothing super complicated. As of yet, but
Yeah, I also like it. It has some nice world building, and the hero is not as overpowered as in many other series.
well, he is overpowered. But the thing is, it's like the game he played. He had multiple jobs for his character, but the game was set in a way that if you change your job to, let's say, a paladin, well, you don't have access to your wizard spell. But if you change class, then you have access to your wizard spell, but not your paladin ability, and so on. But he had maybe 6, 7, or 8 class that he leveled up through many years. And in that world, well, all of those classes are fused together. Well, he has access to a lot of really overkill abilities. The only thing is that he used them as you would in a game.
What I meant is not that he's not overpowered, but he is more powerful than most people, but he still does get challenged, and he still gets his ass kicked by some people who are specialized fighters.
Yeah, exactly. Because one scene he's dueling with what was her name? The elf Arians. He's dueling with her mother, and basically just getting his ass kicked because he has all these power but no practical experience in a fight. His reaction time is really low because he doesn't have any experience other than just standing there and using his most powerful abilities. Like all in all, like it's like Mirage said, it's yes, he has a lot of power, but he's challenged throughout the story. Like there's from what I read, like there's nothing I've seen that where he's really like over the top and nobody can touch him, and like he has a solution for everything, like a lot of other series. But it's a nice little one, and according to that book, well, me and Justus are elves
Okay.
because they live in they live in the Great Canada Forest.
Oh. All right.
And the main heroine's family name is Maple, so
All right.
I think the Canada
that
team
makes a
was
lot of sense
intentional.
that, like, the Canadian people are descended from elves. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean,
Well, the implication being, and that's not really a spoiler because it's halfway through volume 1, I think, that probably the founder of the Elven kingdom was also an otherworlder, and probably he came from Canada.
I don't remember that.
there you
Yeah,
go.
he wanted
See?
to get those elven bitches, eh?
There's like, so finally, somebody from outside of Japan actually
Yeah.
managed to do something. Finally.
Yeah, but it was more than 1,000 years ago, so he doesn't appear in the story.
Doesn't matter, man. We at least made a mark.
Yeah.
Saving the world and starting civilizations and everything else has been such the Japanese have held control of that so long. It's about time somebody else represented. What else did you like?
I mean, if you watch the show, like Aura Battler Dunvert, I think it's called, like, it's basically like a bunch of people from all across the planet who are being isekai to pilot mechs for war and shit. So, I think there was a Canadian doing that show. There was like an American, Japanese, Russian, French, German guy there, so I think there was Canadian as well.
Who knows? That's an older series, yeah. So, Jean-Luc, what else did you
so
like?
my number 2 is there's no way a side character like me could be popular, right?
There you go. All right.
So
getting that slice of life in there?
Yeah, a little bit of slice of life. So it was a bit of difference from all the fantasy one that I read usually. So and it was a really fun one because like we talked in the podcast, like the dynamic of the characters, like they really mesh well together. Like there's a lot of back and forth, interesting back and forth between the different character, and it really make them feel alive in a sense. Like they like normally in like slice of life, in the Japanese storytelling, you always have an accent on exaggeration of expression of like a lot of thing. And in that one, like the character felt a bit more believable. And all in all, like it was just a good read, and especially for the harsher time that 2020 led on. Like it was a good distraction.
Nice.
So,
all right.
And
what was your number 1 there?
Number 1, well, we won't talk about it that much, but number 1 is yet again My Next Life as a Villainess. All route leads to doom.
Well, we knew there was going to be some crossover probably,
Yeah.
but hey, it's fair, man. That's we've already talked about it.
That one has a special place for me, like in my heart, because it's a bit similar to the first one, not the first one, my number 2, like side character, because it's really the dynamic of the character in that one. Like it's so hilarious. When I read it at the beginning of the year, like for me, 2019 was as much of a piece of trash as 2020 was. So it really gave me kind of good ambience, or like it was a feel good book that just put me back on my feet until like shit hit the pans yet again.
I can see
But
that.
like it really helped me change my mind. And like it's like if you're feeling down, like from everything that's going on at the moment, like 2020 is barely over, like might be soon, but not yet. But like if you're feeling down, grab this book. Like it will bring you back your smile, take your head elsewhere. Like it's a really good one. As Bio pointed earlier, like characters are fun, like the dynamic is fun. So that was my number one.
Nice. All right, cool. All right, Kyle, what did you like in 2020?
All right. So in no particular order, I would say first one I want to talk about is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon sword oratoria? I've spoken about this one before.
Yep.
Except this year I'm gonna rank Sword Oratoria above the main series. So yeah, what we got this year was the possible conclusion to the entire series. So the authors said that, it's going to continue eventually, maybe, but we've caught up to Japan. There's no new volumes currently planned. So if they do write a new one, it could be a very long time before we see it. Yeah, but in this volume, we see the conclusion to everything. It's everything that's been built up since the very first volume all gets wrapped up this year. So,
Oh wow. So
and
how many volumes is it then?
I believe, I had it
12?
up a second ago.
12?
12?
I think 12. Let me check.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, so yeah, there's just every question answered, every battle fought, lots of dead people. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy.
Now, I don't want spoilers, obviously, because
Yeah,
we
12.
try not to do that. We try, but so I think if I recall, was it 10 that tied into the whole arc in the main series where Belle is fighting with the sentient monsters? Like, is that so? Like the 10th?
Yeah, the Xenos arc.
Yeah, so the Xenoth arc that coincided with the 10th volume of Oratoria, did it not? Or like around there?
Maybe 9 to 12, I think.
Like,
Yeah,
I just wondered how much further past that arc Sword Oratoria went.
I mean, in time wise, I think only like weeks ahead, maybe.
All right.
Days, weeks. Yeah. So, I mean, timeline wise, it doesn't go very far past, what we've gotten from the light novels.
Okay.
Yeah, because after the Xenos arc ends in the main series, it just goes, Sword Oratoria just goes back into the man-made dungeon, and then just boom, 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 concludes with that.
Okay. All right.
And then
I think the main series makes a small time skip at this point. So I think by the time the main series continues with the U arc, I think the Sword Oratoria should have concluded.
Okay. All right. So it didn't go past really where the main Danmachi series was.
Not really. I mean, like I said, maybe days, week or two.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's very, very close to where that ends because, after the Xenos arc, just everything picks up for Sword Oratoria Whereas in the main series, it's gone into a downturn, and we're getting backstories,
Yeah.
flashbacks, all that stuff.
Yeah. All right, cool. So 12 yeah, I've only read the first 2. Do I want to power through 10 more? You're making me tempted, I got to be honest. All right. Okay, so what was next up on your list?
Okay, so next up, I would say Ascendance of a Bookworm. Still a solidly great series. It's just crazy how the escalation works here, because we have, a young girl crushed to death by books, reincarnated into another world as the daughter of a soldier, and all she wants to do is just read. And it's not that easy. It goes from just trying to build paper, trying to learn to read, then all of a sudden, oh wait, they find out, or yeah, I'll spoil the ending of book 1, I guess, because the anime already passed it, but they find out she has mana and that she's a precious commodity herself. And then so she gets taken into the church. And then after the church, she gets taken in somewhere else. And then it is just escalating to a rather ridiculous degree where, decisions she's making is starting to, affect the dukedom as a whole. And it's probably going to go even further than that. Not too far.
So which book are you? So where are you in the series then? How much have you read in the series then?
So that it'd be book 3, part 3.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just about to conclude another massive arc after the church,
right?
Because her surroundings can only stay the same for so long. Yeah, she goes from this poor rinky-dink apartment that's probably only maybe 200 square feet to this big old church where she becomes the director of the orphanage. And then, she moves
Somewhere
on to
else.
bigger and better places.
Yeah. Wow. That. Yeah. Okay. That's one I've got to get. I got to get back into that one and read more of it.
Yeah, I recommend that to practically anyone. Even if they're not interested in anime or light novels, I'll just point them to Ascendance of Bookworm. Read this. It's just practically anybody can get into it and enjoy it.
Awesome. Cool. And what was your other pick?
Oh, and Jean-Luc is not the only one who's going to be talking about things we've already gone over. But Eminence of Shadow.
Okay.
It feels like I've been waiting 100 years for this.
I was sure it was on your list.
Well, I mean, come on. Like, Yenon only delayed that damn thing, 18 times? Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that back, like, it was supposed to come out in November of 2019. Even then, I think that was actually pushed back. Because I think it was something like summer or September or something of 2019. Then it got pushed to November. Then it was like January, and then it was like February. Oh my god! Yeah,
I think last year 3 of you had it on your one for 2021 list, for 2020 list.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like we totally wanted to read that book.
But I didn't pick it up.
Well,
not yet.
I remember tweeting to the because Yenon was of course blah 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 blah, and I'm like, I'll totally believe it when I see the damn book. And so they actually added me on Twitter and they showed me a picture of them holding it and they're like, it's real.
Yeah, it got delayed so much. Volume 2 almost came out before Volume 1.
Yeah, right?
That's how bad it was. It's like I just finished Volume 1 and I was like, oh, Volume 2 is out now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, great. I read that one. Volume 2 isn't coming out till what? October?
Which you mean
It's
the
way
third?
later.
You mean the third volume?
Third volume, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not coming
Yeah,
out for
it's
a
coming out
while.
way louder.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it came out. Well, there was if I recall, I think there was a bit of a gap between volume 2 and 3 in Japan as well. I'm trying to remember, but it's been on hiatus in Japan for a bit as well. Like, I think book 3 came out, what, a year or so ago in Japan? Like, I'm sure there's more. Like, I've heard that apparently the author's working on more. They're just, I guess, trying to make it better. I think
Yeah.
I think I saw somebody said, I guess there is web novel content and the author is actually rewriting a lot of it substantially to try and make it better. And that's why there's been a delay in the 4th book, I think. But anyway, I'll shut up. So like, so
Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean, there's got to be just a ridiculous amount of juggling he has to do to, you know, have the main character's antics in the foreground while having this major, conspiracy, the actual plot going on in the background. Yeah, you have, you know, all the other people in his group, they're all reincarnated heroes or, orphans that, their families are looking for them or they've been horribly experimented on, blah, blah, blah. And he's just thinking, oh, cool, somebody who, I could mess around with or who will play along with my stories or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing about that book, like I read the first one and I haven't read the second one yet. I've actually got it. I need to check it out. But it made me laugh that I'm like, by the time you get through the first book, I sit there and I say to myself, dude, like you've got to know by this point. This is not just your chuny fantasies anymore. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
basically what I didn't like about this book because about maybe or even only a third of the book through the book should have been obvious, and it kept feeling like a forced running gag from that point on. So I'm a bit of the odd one out for this series. I didn't like it, but still most people I've talked to liked it. So maybe I'm just weird this way.
well, you know what? I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was, I thought it was decent, but yes, the suspension of disbelief about him not knowing just what's going on, especially when he's not stupid. You know what I mean? Like he's stupid because he's so much of a chuny, but when it actually comes to getting stuff done, he doesn't seem stupid. Does I don't like
Yeah.
like he's capable.
Yeah,
I guess is maybe the way to put it, right?
Listen, delusions are one hell of a fucking drug, okay?
Well, and honestly, if anybody's high on the drug of delusion, it's this guy, because holy crap. I mean, it's you know what kind of book you're getting into when the main character meets Truck-kun, not because he's just crossing the road, not because he's trying to save someone's life, but because in order to try and get stronger, he has been smashing his head repeatedly against a tree, and he sees the lights as like the oncoming of the magical power that he has finally sought for so long. Like, you kind of know what you're getting into right there. And it's not even a spoiler because that's like what, the first 3 pages?
Yeah. Oh god, it's when the manga comes out, you gotta check it out because the artist's depiction of him before he gets isekai'd is just hilarious.
Oh man. Okay.
He's like, yeah, they have him as like 8 foot tall, super bodybuilder.
Oh,
his head is smaller than all his shoulder muscles and stuff. It's just ridiculous.
So he's drawn like the Chad meme, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. This would be one that I would be tempted to check out the manga version of it as well. Like, cause yeah, I mean the art, the stuff that it describes, it's pretty cool, but I'm like, I bet you seen an artist's rendition of some of this stuff would be pretty cool. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. The comedy can be hard to,
Mm.
translate from, novel form where it'll feel a lot better in, manga or animated.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Well, why not? I mean, given some of the stuff that they're putting on the screen as anime, I mean, like there's they've already animated way worse choices than Eminence and Shadow, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Did they announce the anime for it?
No, they
No.
haven't, no. You know what? It seems like 4 volumes is kind of the magic number. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
it
seems
could
to
be
be like, if you take a look at almost every single light novel series that has been announced for an anime, it has at least 4 volumes. That seems to be the magic goalpost you have to get past in Japan to have consideration for anime. That seems to be. That's not entirely, it's not just like that. Like, I mean, Juni Taisen only had the one, but it was a standalone. But you know what I mean, though? For series, it definitely seems like they want that series to have at least a good 4 volumes under its feet before it gets animated. And I think it's because, let's face it, we've talked about this a bunch of times on the podcast before. Most anime for light novels nowadays is treated as an ad for the light novels. So the publishers want to make sure that they've got enough product that when people finish the anime, if it's popular enough, they'll go and buy the books. So that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
All right, Mirage, what were your faves of 2020?
Yeah, so in third place, I have a bit of an older series, but it got its ebook release this year, so I finally got to catch up on it, and that is Log Horizon.
Okay.
It's about all the players of a virtual reality it's not really a virtual reality game before, or of an MMO get transported to a game-like world, but all the NPCs are actually people now, and yeah, it's really good because the game mechanics are really well thought out, and when reading it, you can really see the strategies that the protagonist develops, and and those strategies are always logical, and you can understand why he did that, and still they are mostly surprising. So it's really well written.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. What is it, Shiro? What do they call him? The glass-wearing demon
Shiro,
or something?
Shiro.
And in the English dub of the anime, they call him the Machiavelli with glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, there's well, I mean, that's that whole that is probably one of those characters that for the there's always that trope you see in anime, the character pushing their glasses up as they get serious, but man, Log Horizon takes that to a whole other level.
I mean, you got a guy with a big giant fuck off axe who does that too, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to fight this guy.
I was trying to catch up to the point where season 2 ended of the anime, but I did only manage to read the first 4 volumes so far. The third season just started last week.
Which is weird because I don't think, because like the first two seasons covered the first 10 volumes, and I think there's only 2 or 3 out in Japan beyond the first 10. Like I think there's only 12 or 13
the first
volumes.
Season covered the first 4 volumes, and the second season I have no idea because I haven't read so far in the novel.
Well, I believe that season 2 caught everything up.
Yeah,
where the author was.
Yeah, which was 10
before he got sent to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the anime had been caught up. So hopefully, he wrote in prison and just waited for it to get released.
You know, he wrote his draft, out of like toilet paper and toothpick shivs.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, may the lesson be: do your damn taxes.
And do them right, yeah.
And do them properly, yes. Those crazy Japanese light novel authors, I tell you. Yeah, you know what? I have to agree with you, Mirage. I think Log Horizon I always try to tell people, I'm like, okay, it's not realistic, quote unquote, because obviously, I mean, they go to a game world and all that. But of those game world type light novels, it seems to me to be the more realistic in terms of looking at how they try to restructure society, addressing the fact that people get so depressed because they actually really have nothing to do, like they have no purpose. um you know what I mean? Like it kind of addresses a lot of
Yeah,
things
it's
that
the type of
potentially could
arguments
happen.
it's the type of arguments that like Nietzsche would make about like how you defeat nihilism is find purpose in your life.
And
Yeah.
it's not only that, it's also the game mechanics, because you really get the feeling that the author knows his stuff about online games.
Yes.
He knows,
Oh yeah.
he knows what kind of game mechanics would be interesting, and there was a very long discussion on the Discord a few days ago I had with someone about how the game mechanics in Sword Art Online were not like in in Log Horizon. Yeah,
Well,
in my opinion, Log Horizon does this 10 times better than Sword Art Online.
Well, Sword Art isn't even a game.
yeah.
It's
Well,
a lifestyle.
it's a well,
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that you're right. Like you can tell that Sword Art Online was written very much to just be about somebody adventuring on their own, whereas in terms of being an MMO where you have group battles and strategy and everything else, yes, Log Horizon is way more complicated and does that whole thing far
Yeah.
more successfully. Mhm.
The synergies between different skills of different classes, that's something that is way more complex than in any other series about MMOs that I've seen so
Yeah.
far.
No, absolutely. And you're right. Like you can tell that, I mean, even like, I mean, this isn't a slag, like Kawahara himself has admitted he's not a huge gamer. So, but you can tell the difference between somebody who was writing a fantasy-ish novel compared to somebody like, say, the author of Log Horizon, that you feel like, my God, this is somebody who has spent hundreds and hundreds of hours playing MMOs.
And by the way, like what we see in Log Horizon isn't all of it as well. Like you do get this hint, and you do see a little bit of this wider world. I mean, for example, the classes that they have, like in Log Horizon, some of those classes are just for the Japanese servers. All right.
Yeah.
And this is a worldwide game, by the way. So this is only like a fragment of what's out there.
Yeah, there's definitely that suggestion as you get later into the series that there's a lot more going on than what we think. And not to mention, it is one of the few series that as you said, Mirage, you have such a huge amount of people summoned all at once. Like I mean, Sword Art had like what? I think they said 10,000 to start, but Log Horizon, you get the sense there's a hell of a lot more than that.
It's 30,000 in Japan alone.
Yeah.
And you get at least the feeling that it's a worldwide phenomenon.
Like 7,000 for the Akiba server?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, like it's huge. Like it's huge. So yeah, it is definitely it is an interesting series. Yeah, well, I've watched the whole anime. I only read the first 4, I think, light novels, but I watched the whole anime, and I definitely will probably check out season 3 to see what it's
definitely
like, so.
something that I will continue this year.
Cool. All right. So what was your next one?
Yeah, for the second one, it was a toss-up. I wanted to avoid stuff that you had in your top 10. And Tier Moon Empire would have been one of my top picks as well, but you had it as your first pick. So,
way to spoil my list. Jeez.
So everybody who's listening to this has already seen your top 10. So my second place goes to Deathbound Duke's Daughter. You also had it in your top 10, but not in one of the top 3 places. So I felt justified in using it.
Hey, no problem. Hey, we're allowed duplicates, man. It's totally fine.
Yeah, I try to avoid this as much as possible because we want to want our listeners to here about different kind of series. So Deathbound Duke's Daughter, about a girl who gets reincarnated into a visual novel or dating sim, as they do.
As you
Yes.
do. Yep.
And what it sets it apart from Baccarina and other series is the world building. You have a very complicated and detailed magic system. 2 different magic systems, in fact. You have a continent with a detailed history. You have, most of all, interesting battles and interesting connections between the characters. I've read the first 2 volumes, and both are very good.
Yeah,
We don't know if there's more coming. I think the web novel has more, but the Japanese publisher has probably stopped publishing. We're not. I don't think we have anything official on it. Seems to be my thing to have series like this in my top 3. Last year I had Evil Organization.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is one of those series that yeah, it is a bummer that there's
Yeah.
only the 2, because I agree. Well, I mean, yeah, okay, I said it in my video too. The whole world building, and I loved how the major sort of antagonist in that first volume tied into the sort of deep history of the continent and where they were. Like it wasn't just some random monster or something like that. It
Yeah,
was really
and
cool.
that will continue without spoiling too much with in volume 2.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, that's, that is one of those
Yeah.
things that when reading it, it was one of those things that I really was like, wow, this is, despite the whole she's a villainess in an otome game, which sounds cliche now. Funny, like if we were talking about this book 2 years ago, we would have been like, oh my God, she's an otome villainess. This is so unique.
Yeah. So the first volume was more or less contained, a self-contained story, and the second one is as well. So even if it stops at 2 volumes, I still recommend reading the second one. It's
Cool.
definitely worth it.
Awesome. I think I will this year, actually. I do want to read the other one.
Yeah. And for the number 1 place, I have Magic User, Reborn in Another World as a max level wizard.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Really.
Okay, like, because I mean, no, I know nothing about it. I have not read it. But it's just I have not heard very much about this series. So
Yeah, I get the feeling that not many people have read it, and
no.
I read the first one back in March, and the other 2 I basically got as soon as they came out. I think there's a 4th volume announced. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite up to date on the Japanese releases. But it's about a man who gets reborn into a fantasy world, and when God asks him what kind of character he wants to be, or what kind of person he wants to be, he just, okay, here's the mage wizard I've played for a decade or more in my fantasy role-playing pen and paper circle. Let's just take this one. And God says, okay, and so he's a level 40 wizard. The rule set is basically D&D. Everyone who's ever played D&D will be instantly familiar with the magic and the rules for this. Even the items that he has are sometimes straight up lifted from there.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Do we cast magic missile?
Yeah. Fireball,
there you
meteor
go.
storm, everything. Summon monster, summon
Yay.
dragon, yeah, everything. Problem is the magic system in this world works a completely other way. So all other mages use mana to cast spells, and they're called sorcerers. And he's a wizard. He doesn't use mana. He memorizes spells every morning, which is also, and so he has also only a limited capacity for spells each day, which is rarely an object, but sometimes it is. And
Wow.
it's really fun to read. So it also has a bit world building. It could be a bit quicker with the world building, so we haven't gone too far from the starting place after 3 volumes. But it's decent for that, and it definitely is a fun read. Characters are nice. There are quite a lot of characters that are introduced one after another. I could say I would have changed traded a few of the characters for more world building, but all in all, I really liked it, and it's my number 1 pick for 2020.
Well,
Nice.
I need to read it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And also, 42-year-old pen and paper player, that's basically me. So
Yeah, and it's almost me as well.
All right, Terrence, what were your picks for this year?
Sure. So hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yep.
My
Yep.
picks. I'm gonna start with Adachi to Shimamura. This was obviously, Yuri slice of life title that got an anime. Haven't seen the anime yet, but I did read the first volume. It's interesting. It's a little different than I think most of the stuff we have out in English. I mean, obviously based on the genre, but I'd say like even it's kind of very introspective. It looks into these girls, thoughts and opinions and feelings more than sort of active doing stuff. Not to say that they don't. There's a decent amount of scenes in the school, scenes outside the school, going on, not a date but an outing at the mall, like. But even so, it's just the way that they got into the headspace of these girls, the anxieties of school, the anxieties of keeping friendships and keeping your friends, and how you can balance your best friend and your old friends that you don't know if they're going to get along with her or not. But yeah, just in general, it's got a lot of like allegory, metaphor kind of things. That some of them are cheesy, some of them don't hit, but but a lot of them, I think that fits with the setting. The fact that these are high school girls, learning to kind of fall in love and also kind of learning, to have independence and find themselves. So yeah, I did enjoy that one.
Cool.
For my number 2 pick, this will probably be a cheat pick. So it's I had that same dream again. I don't quite know if this one, it's Sumino who released what was the title? I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. So yeah, it's that same author. This one, I had that same dream again. It focuses on a little girl, and again, it's kind of that experience of not necessarily coming of age, but just kind of growing up, discovering things, just finding your way in life, and maybe discovering your world. It's done in an interesting way. She has a few friends, and it's interesting. They're all, she's got, an adult friend named Skank-san. She's got another friend that's Granny, and then she also has a teenage friend, and they're all kind of, I would say, almost like outcasts of society, or just people that maybe society forgot. And it's just interesting to see this girl, find. I believe she has an assignment to find her happiness. I think that the teacher said, we want to know what happiness is to you, and so she goes to seek out this in these people that maybe society wouldn't expect to get an answer on that from. And yeah, it's a really interesting book. It's definitely one I'd want to go back and reread.
Cool.
And the last one, it's kind of iffy. I've got a few that I was like, these are okay. It's just more. It's more. I read these at the beginning of the year, so I've got one that's more recent, which was Fushi no Kami. This one, a lot of people have compared it to Bookworm, Ascendance of a Bookworm. I don't know. I would compare it to some of the kingdom building stuff that we've seen so far. Maybe not
Right.
on like the grand scale because it does focus on a village at the start, at least in the volume one. But yeah, just in terms of kind of someone bringing their level of knowledge, their ability to process language, and to use that knowledge to help out their village and town. The main character is very kind of cunning and kind of sassy with like the way he gets people to kind of acquiesce to his kind of not necessarily demands, but he basically talks people into giving him what he wants. The head priest, at the very beginning of the story, I forget how he does it, but basically he somehow gets him to loan him one of his precious books from the library in the church, and he proves to him that yes, I can learn how to read this stuff. Based on I guess he picked up some of the vocabulary over time, and then he actually ends up helping the priest decipher some ancient text. And I think this is going to be kind of the appeal, maybe going forward, is seeing how they decipher ancient scripts and ancient artifacts, and kind of finding out what the past was like, because it does seem like civilization has had a fall. We don't really know the full story of it. So I think that would be a big appeal factor. It does also have some, puppy love kind of stuff with like a girl that is interested in him. So, you got that to look forward to too. Now, the volume one does end with him going off to school in the city, if I remember right. So I don't know what the series has in store after that, but I'm very interested to get back to that one.
Yeah, volume
cool.
2 will be in the city.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and so yeah, that one was really interesting. And then just to mention it really quickly, just because it was one that I read, two of the volumes for, was Mariel Clarac. I don't know if I mentioned it last year. It just seems so long ago, that
I
that series that
I think you
yeah.
mentioned it as one of the series you were looking forward to.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I did really enjoy, the volume one of that one. It was an interesting, arc. Obviously, it starts with, this marriage to this guy who, sort of, noble and very, well known across the land, and she's, this meek lower commoner noble. And it's just, I don't know, it was just interesting the way you find out, that she's, writing this fiction. And I don't know, just the way that that all came together. They bring in new characters. There's some other shipping elements that start in volume two, and yeah, I just really enjoyed that series too.
Cool. All right. Well, just in case nobody's watched my video, we've already spoken about my number 3 pick, which was Ascendance of a Bookworm, which I honestly had the feeling that it would probably be higher on my list if I had had a chance to read more of it. But unfortunately, I only read the first book. My number 2 pick was Reign of the Seven Spellblades,
Mm.
which is like a much cooler, much more violent Harry Potter. That's probably the short form to put it. Basically takes place at like a magical academy that has all these really dark secrets, and the world building is part of that. That was like one of those, like the setting I thought I really liked as well. Like the school is as much sort of a character as everything else. Like there's this whole thing where the school's built on top of this labyrinth, but at night the labyrinth's magic becomes stronger, and it actually kind of invades the main school building. So like if you're inside the school, like in the classrooms and stuff, monsters appear, hallways change direction. Like, yeah, it's plus it was one of those series that actually kind of got into the whole idea that having really strong magical power could drive you stark raving mad. So it was yeah, I really like that one. And then my number one pick, as Mirage already said, and yeah, okay, I know most people have probably already watched the video, so it doesn't matter, is Tier Moon Empire. But I'm going to mention it here because more people need to read that series
Yes,
because
definitely.
I
because I want a
honestly,
print edition
yeah.
of that one.
yeah, I honestly thought I maybe put that and Mario Clarok on last year's list because I remember reading them pretty early on, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, that was definitely up there.
I think a lot of us were talking when Tier Moon Empire was announced. I think a lot of us said that it was one that we definitely wanted to check out because the again, like the synopsis of it, you know, a princess who is basically being led to the guillotine because her country's gone to crap and the people have revolted, and as the guillotine chops her head off, she wakes up and suddenly she's like 12 years old or whatever again, and comes to the realization that, you know, what she's experienced probably is real, and so she's like, now I need to change things. It's just you know, I think it's sort of what you were saying with the whole thing with uh My Next Life as a Villainess, where you have a really charming main character that you absolutely adore and you want to see succeed. She's not perfect, she makes mistakes, she can be selfish, she can be all these things, but the fact that she's trying to do better and be better, you just totally root for her. There's some sweet sort of little bits of romance in it, little bits of mystery, little bits of, yeah, it was such a good package of different things. And it was just one of those books, like just insanely readable. I just couldn't put that one down at all. So yeah, Tier Moon Empire, people, if you haven't already, go read it. Buy lots of copies so that we can get it in print. And yeah. Because then if it's in print, even more people will read it.
Yeah, I will read it if it comes out in print.
It is, yeah.
And
It's
remember, every book you buy, 1 cent will be sent to Justus
oh,
as a kickback. So.
oh, only if you buy it through my affiliate links, which you'll find in the description down. No, I'm just kidding. I did not get paid by J Novel Club to pimp that book. I swear to God, I just really, really liked it. Yeah, so definitely one that I enjoyed this year that I want to read the rest of. And yeah, I'm kind of, you know, every year I say to myself, I'm like, this is the year I'm going to catch up on series. I'm going to read more ongoing volumes. And then every year there's like 10, 20, 30 bloody new series released a month. And I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. Anyway, yeah. So much for that. But well, we'll see. Maybe this year I'll get some more caught up. Anyway. All right, so now we're into 2021. I don't know. It hasn't seemed. It seemed more like 2020, the sequel, as opposed to a new year. But
Yeah, listen, 2020 came by, and 2021's like, hold my beer.
like it kind of feels that way a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, this is going to be the calm before the storm. All right.
Like I don't want to. I don't want you to be right, but I can't disagree. So. We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But damn.
Well, let's see what hopefully I'm wrong, but if I'm not, then we're going to be living in some very interesting We're going to be living a very interesting decade.
Well, yeah, huh? Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, there's a saying that the Chinese have. It's, you know, may you be born in interesting times, and yeah, we are reaching those interesting times.
Yeah, I kind of liked boring times. They were I don't think I appreciated them as much as I do now. All right, so but anyway, we're in 2021. It's a new year. It's we've got, as I said, a crap ton of light novel series making their debuts this year. I am all pretty much positive at this point that we will have a crap ton of new light novels announced this year as we go along, but that's probably not for a couple months at least until we hit sort of convention season, which again will be pretty much all online, I'm imagining, but whatever, it's fine. All right, so Bio, what is it this year that you're like, this is the book I need to read this year?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
I've got High School DxD /Dog.
Okay.
Because apparently they're like from what I can tell, they're like re-releasing it or like updating the covers and stuff. So we might get an English release of Slashdog. I'm hoping because I've heard that Slashdog is very good. Like I read like a little bit of the first volume. And he's a bit of a different main character. Sorry if you can hear me chewing, it's because like I just got my dinner. So he's a bit of a different. He's a bit of a different beast than say Issei is. Like he has this power. However, he's a human. He's a human with this power, and he sort of is getting used to the supernatural stuff. Like he's almost like in the kiddie pool version of the getting used to the supernatural, unlike Issei, who was kind of thrown in the deep end.
Right.
Because the thing is with Slashdog is he does come from like this family that kind of knows about this stuff. So I think what makes sort of like Slashdog interesting is that like he's an ordinary human who's just been kind of given these abilities, and he's just kind of like he's just learning how to go with the punches and stuff like that. You know, like what is a balance breaker? What is this? You know, this demon dog thing that he can summon. And, you know, why is it that he can turn into, like, the shadow demon werewolf whenever he gets angry and shit, you know? And also Varley's in it, and he's pretty cool. Like, you get to see, like, Varley as, like, a young kid. He says rival from High School DxD. And he's such a fucking shinibio. He's, like, writing in his diary, "Dear diary, I hope one day I'll be able to meet the Red Dragon Emperor or something so I can fight him." And he's, like, got a book of quotes he'll say, you know, when he meets his destined rival.
Oh, jeez.
"Dear diary, when will the day come where I'll be to meet my rival?"
Oh,
it's
no.
it's like Varley's just like, "I've got to fight this guy. I've got to fight this guy. When's the Dragon of Red? When is the Welsh dragon gonna come and invade Britannia?"
Oh, Lord.
And Albion's like, "Soon, Varley. Have patience. Yes, we shall train for my ultimate rival." It's just good stuff like that. Second thing I'm looking forward to is Faraway Paladin, the 5th volume, because apparently he's working on it, and I looked up on the old like Sosetsu, and apparently there was a rough draft he did for the 5th volume, and I was like having a read through that, like what I could translate. If that's what he's writing down for the 5th volume, things are gonna get very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just say old William has a midnight visitor. You know, like it's styled like one of those, you know, when the vampire comes to the fair maiden's room, except he's the maiden, like some midnight booty call.
Oh no.
So yeah, good times. Third thing, gotta love whistles. Third thing, I am actually looking forward to Data Live and the translations of Data Bullet because I've read I've read like most of the volumes in fan translations, and I just want to see what the official stuff will look like or how we'll read like. Because a little problem with like Data Live is they sometimes bring up these things which I'm just like, what the fuck is this? So I'm kind of wondering if either that's a translation issue or it could be a language thing. Quite looking forward to Data Live though. What else is there? Can't really think of anything else. Yeah, basically just Slashdog and Faraway Paladin Volume 5.
Yeah.
Like, the dude said he's working on it, so I'm gonna believe in him.
Well, and I mean, I can't imagine that J-Novel Club won't bring it out. They've got... And I mean, the nice thing is, because it's a J-Novel Club, you know that as soon as it comes out in Japan, it will probably start getting the pre-pubs on J-Novel's website within like a month. They are not... They're not far behind. So... Yeah, no, that's that. Well, we can hope. We'll see. We will be talking more about Faraway Paladin. Yes, we will. All right. Jean-Luc, what are your plans for 2021?
All right, so 2021, well, time only will tell if I'll pick up those new book and actually read the new book instead of just piling up the pile of shame. But yeah. So, well, two books that I'm really looking forward to. I'll just briefly go by because I think I've talked enough about them in the last podcast. But it's first one is The Ideal Sponger Life.
Right.
So, kind of nice, slow life, isekai-ish with bit of politics and
Political intrigue.
yeah. political intrigue and like a really nice booby lady with a fun cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I read the first one last year, and it was way better than I expected.
Oh, good. I'll be looking forward to it then.
Yeah.
Well, I did check
Technically,
a
it
bit.
comes out in 2021, so I also was considering putting it on my list here, but since you already
Well,
have it, I can.
I actually did look up the manga a bit, so I know what I'm getting into, but how well will the light novel fare for me? So time will tell. So the next one is again another one we discussed recently. So I woke up piloting the strongest starship, so I became a space mercenary. So, like, I really want my fix of a space opera. So
Space opera.
Read
with-
Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
thinking
I
this will be
could.
a little bit lighter than Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
yes.
There's
Not
certainly
mu-
there's gonna be more fan service than Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yeah, definitely.
Just the covers alone, there's already more. All right.
Yeah,
Was there
so
any
the
Well,
other?
you don't like the picture of like giant spaceships ramming into each other and firing photon torpedoes, or big burly men clashing each other with sword and axe.
Like, I don't really call that fan service, but it's cool. Like, I'm not gonna
Yes.
lie.
It's another kind of fan service.
Well, I suppose that's true. It's true.
Okay, so the other one that I'm looking forward to it. Well, I started the prologue like last summer, but stuff happened and I never got back to it. So this year, yeah, I'm at least going to finish volume 1. So it's a record of Warturnia War.
Okay.
So basically another isekai, but an isekai with a badass character that actually first thing he does is kill his summoner. So
Mhm.
Get stuff
Yeah.
done.
Wait, is this the guy who knows martial arts?
He does.
yeah, he does.
I think I've read the manga for this. Yes, I remember
It's-
the series.
yeah,
Yes.
it's
he's
pretty
brought
good.
up.
It's pretty
he-
violent.
he's brought up
Yeah.
by his grandfather to kill. So yeah.
So it's a
Yeah,
heartwarming
Yeah, I remember that in the
tale.
manga. Like basically he just does it like his basically like his instincts kick in. He's like, I'm in danger. Time to go Bruce Lee Kung Fu mode. Hadouken! And he just kills everyone.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then they're pretty much out for his blood.
I can't imagine why.
Listen, it wasn't murder, it was self-defense, okay? You've got to deconstruct and reconstruct.
It's all good.
Yeah,
man.
so supposed to have a bit of a politics strategy and stuff. So looking forward to
yeah.
it.
Cool.
Yeah. He I did get to the volume 4, and he starts to, I mean, I'm not gonna spoil too much, but the title is like Wartania War. I believe he gets he starts to build up kind of his own little nation or empire, and I think it's in the land called Wartania. Like, you actually get to whatever Wartania is by
Mhm.
volume 4.
I love it how he's wanted by this one kingdom, so he just starts his own. You know,
Yeah.
you can't catch me then.
Yeah, he takes he ends up taking like this like boony, town that like everybody's like, oh, that place is crap. It's like swampland and marshland or something like
And
that.
he's like, perfect.
yeah. Yeah, and he's he builds up an empire.
Nice.
But it's gonna be slow.
He just has like an army full of swamp folk. What are you doing here, city boy?
All right, cool. So, Kyle, how about you? What are you looking forward to this year?
Oh, there's been so much stuff that's been announced that unless I can pre-order it right now, I've completely forgot what has actually been announced.
Just say
So-
everything.
Okay, well, so there's
Yeah,
some
so-
stuff you can pre-order. So, what have you pre-ordered?
Okay, yeah. So the only thing I really find right now, it's still a great book. I'm really looking
Mhm.
forward to it, is the Apothecary Diaries.
Mm,
Mm.
And so, yeah, just this, you know, classical historical book set in sort of China.
sort of China. I like that.
Yeah, and it's just a real departure from the vast majority of what we're getting. So we're getting a, real grounded, real world historical piece
Mm.
that is just, yeah, it's just been just really looking forward to it.
I'm glad you mentioned that
And
one. Yeah.
and I know there's other stuff that I've been looking forward to that'll be released this year, but I darn forgot about it. And I cannot pre-order it.
Well, it's fine. You actually mentioned one that I was hoping would get mentioned because I agree. It looks really good and it is definitely different than pretty much anything else that we have. Um, so yeah, it does look pretty cool. I'm looking forward to checking that one out. That's one too that I was like, did they not announce a print edition? Because man, it looks so pretty. Like,
Mm.
oh well. All right, Mirage, how about you?
So, I try to restrict myself to stuff where Volume 1 comes out in 2021. And the first title, which I don't know very much about, but which sounds interesting, is She Professed Herself the Pupil of the Wise Man. That
Okay.
one has been on lists in Japan for a while.
Yes.
So it has a decent number of volumes out. So, as I said, I don't know much about it, but I think it has a good chance of being a good read.
Yeah. Well, it's that whole he's in a game world that he
Mhm.
played the game, but the joke of it is that he changed his avatar to a girl before he went to sleep, before he got summoned to
Yeah.
the game. So he's actually in a female avatar, so it's kind of a gender bend like
Mm.
fantasy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not really unique either, because we also had
No.
Wild Last
Yep.
Boss.
Mhm.
Yep, that's true.
But in principle, it sounds interesting.
Mm.
The other two are a bit cheating because I've already finished reading them for in the prepubs, but they come out in 2021. And one of them is the Apothecary's Diaries, as that Kyle already mentioned. The first
Yep.
volume is extremely good. I have a bit of a concern because it's mainly a collection of short stories. The first volume.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think there are 9 volumes out now in Japan. Um, if they can hold the quality so
Mm.
high.
Mm.
But I've heard only good stuff about this series, so I'm looking forward to the next volumes.
Nice.
And the third I want to mention is Dungeon Busters.
Mm.
All right.
That's not nearly as the literary quality of Apothecary's Diaries, but it's just a fun to read.
Mm.
If I had to compare it to something, it would probably be last year's Secret Organization, because it also has long training sequences where the main character just trains to get his skills up. The premise is that he accidentally opens up a dungeon that he finds in his front yard,
Hmm.
and this starts a sequence of other dungeons appearing the world over, and more than 600 of them all in all, and they have to be all defeated within 10 years, or monsters will start overflowing from the dungeons and the world will end. Basically, he decides to form a company of adventurers to challenge all those dungeons, because he knows no single person can do that themselves. And it's very interesting to read because he in his profession is business consultant, so he has a few unique approaches to dungeoneering, like finding the most optimal routes and training possibilities. You get some nice views of other parties, like politicians and military that are also invested in the dungeons and the threat they may pose. I think Volume 2 is out in Japan. Don't think we have a release date for the English version yet. So it's one that I really, really want to continue reading because I want to know how it goes on. What happens next?
Mm.
What he finds when he goes to the next level of the dungeon, because he's already stronger than most humans from all the leveling he does in the dungeon, but he still gets his ass kicked as soon as he gets down to level 4 of the first dungeon. So
Nice.
I think the power creep is going to be strong in this one.
Cool. Yeah, I thought the premise of this one sounded pretty cool. So
One thing I have to criticize for this one is the art.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that discussion in the Discord, and yeah.
The art looks like it was left over from some porn novel, and it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with what is actually in the book, because you can see the description of the girl wearing this outfit in the text, and you
Mhm.
see the art next to it, and it's two totally different things.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a case of the artwork sexed up to try and sell it to a male audience.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So, fortunately, I'm reading it as a prepub, and the prepub doesn't have much of the art anyway, so
Mhm.
it doesn't
So it's
affect me
not
much.
distracting you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Terrence, what about you? What are you looking forward to this year?
Sure. I'm another one that's kind of like, I don't know too much about it, but Executioner's Way of Life.
Mm.
I believe that's the title. I know this one got a few title changes, but this is that Yuri. I believe it's a Yuri title. Basically, it kind of reminds me of Roka Braves of the Six Flowers in terms of, in that one you had this woman Fremi who was like, at least initially she was trying to kill all the potential heroes or braves that were coming to become one of the six braves or whatever. She was killing them all, and so in this one apparently there's an executioner who is killing all the heroes that are getting summoned to this world. I believe that's the deal. So I don't know, I'm interested to see how that works. I believe, there is somebody that she can't kill. I don't know if it's because they earn her trust or if it's because of some kind of magical or spiritual kind of thing. But yeah, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, this is one of those titles that actually when I read I remember when they
Mhm.
licensed this one, I was actually more excited for it than anything else because
Mm,
it does sound kind of cool, and it's currently called The Executioner and Her Way of Life. It was
mm,
originally titled Virgin Road, which I guess was part of uh it was part of the Japanese title,
mhm,
was Virgin
mhm,
Road. Uh, but I guess the thing that I took from this, and again, yeah, I don't know much more outside of the description that I've read, but it does sound kind of like it's it's not that she herself is just killing these people, it's that in the past, people who have been summoned from Japan to this world have done so much damage that the government has
mm,
basically hired executioners to kill
mm,
anybody who shows up because they are such a problem.
mhm,
And and then yeah, it's apparently what it is she can't kill this one girl because she is immortal.
Mm.
And so I guess uh, it starts initially with her traveling with her to try and figure out a way to actually take her out. But I'm thinking it becomes progressively Yuri-ish as it
Mhm.
goes along. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
I like the whole premise. I love that whole idea of, it's not your typical like, oh, we're looking forward to the hero from another world coming to save us. It's like, no, you people screw our planet up. You need to die before you can do any damage. I kind of like that
Yeah.
take. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Yeah, but it makes you wonder, like, why these people are being summoned in the first place as well.
yeah.
I mean, I was saying this to somebody else.
It's like there's a giant bat signal flying up, and these people are being summoned here, and you keep on killing them. Like, it's not going to stop the bat signal.
Well, you know what? This is something I said to somebody else. I was like, this could be really cool if it's sort of like the story that these people being summoned is causing problems in the world is actually a lie created by a corrupt government that knows that if a hero comes, the hero will actually destroy the corrupt government and save
Mm.
quote unquote the world. I don't know if I have no idea if that's the setup for this. I'm just saying
And
it would be kind of cool.
Here's the thing: if these
sometimes
people
it's
keep on
also
coming,
just some god dropping in
Yeah.
other worlds
Yeah.
on a whim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
could be. It totally could be. It could be
but if this is such like a regular occurrence, so they have to like have hired assassins ready for these guys. This has to be like a fucking regular occurrence. It's like fucking Thor when he gets like kicked out of fucking Asgard and he like comes down to Earth. Like that's just happening on a weekly basis.
like it.
And-
Yeah. I mean, it seems that way.
I mean, I'm not sure if anyone has read By the Ways of the Gods. That's a very tame slice of life series, more or less. And it's also one where the gods regularly drop in other worlders, and I think they have a spotty track record on whether the influence is positive or negative.
Nice. That's great. You gotta love it when gods get spotty. Terrence, what else you're looking forward to?
Sure. So this one, I almost feel like I have to put it on the list. It's Bafuri, like it's easy to kind of forget, like Bafuri was one of those ones that people are like, Bafuri, 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 and then, it gets announced and then it's like, oh yeah, it's almost out. So, this one, I'm just kind of interested to see, like what's the deal with it. I think it's, an MMO, maybe like a VR MMO kind of thing. Just again, it's the art appeal. It's just it looks like a fun adventure tale of two main girl characters, and obviously there's other friends involved too. But I know those. I think it's Maple, and I don't know her friend's name. But yeah, this one obviously had an anime. Tried to avoid it as much as I could so I can have a little bit more of a blind, fresh read of it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And
Nice.
then I guess, I do just want to give a shout out to those two Yen Press titles, but we talked about them at the start. Normally those would be like, super hype titles, but they just kind of like dumped them. So it's just so weird. But yeah, for my other title, I would say all the JNC romcom that they've announced so far. And they're all coming out. I think in February. I think most of them are going to be out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The J novel's dumping a lot of stuff in February. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've already talked about my friend's little sister has it in for me, which I did read the first volume when it was just unofficial. I'm gonna sit down and definitely read that one come February. And yeah, just all of them, just for support. I know I'm gonna buy every single one of them and give them some time to read through them. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. Well, you guys have pretty already mentioned almost every single one that I was going to talk about because I was looking forward to the Executioner's Way and and Bofuri and the Apothecary's Diaries, and the only other one that was announced that outside of all the ones you guys have already talked about that I am looking forward to later this year, much later this year, is one from Seven Seas called The Haunted Bookstore: Gateway to a Parallel Universe. This one about like this girl who's lived in a bookstore where the boundaries between our world and the spirit world are blurred, and it just you know what, I've been really itching for more of a sort of like supernatural, like not like, you know, battles kind of stuff, but you know, all the manga and anime that we see where, I mean, I'm not saying this is like this, but that kind of like, well, like Spirited Away and like, you know, all those stories about like ghost hunting, you know, high schoolers and stuff like I want to see stuff like that really sort of like
Yeah.
more like ghost supernatural stuff, not like, you know, let's kill vampires and werewolves and all, but yeah, like I've really wanted that more kind of paranormal type stuff. And this one, like the artwork is just gorgeous. It just the front cover is just beautiful. And yeah, so I've been itching for that kind of a title, and this looks like it's going to be one. So like I said, pretty much everything else that you guys have mentioned already, I'm totally on board as well. And you know, definitely well, when we talked in Kono Light Novel Gasugoi, when we did that a podcast, I said that I was really hoping that The Detective Is Already Dead would get licensed because it sounded so cool, and it's been a title that every time I've run into it, I've been like, man, I want this title. So definitely on board for that one. I was really happy to see that get licensed. It was really strange that it just came out of nowhere, but you know, I'm not gonna complain because hey,
Yeah,
and they're
I
actually,
think I might even be more interested in Spy Classroom.
well, you know, Spy Classroom sounds pretty cool too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I mean, it's definitely sounds like fairly decent. I am, yeah, I'm curious about Spy Classroom. I'm curious about how
Yeah.
it'll work. Like, definitely, I'll be picking up the first one of that one to
Yeah.
see what it's like. But
For that one, I'll probably wait for your review.
you're gonna see if it goes hardcore harem, and I just heard BS that it doesn't,
And
right?
no, for the detective.
Oh, the detective is already dead. Yeah. Well, again, you know, it's just, yeah, it's one of those series that sounds cool. I guess you know what it is. I am just so thirsty for more mystery light novels. You know, that like the ones that we have, is, I mean, Sorigoto is cool. I don't know if I'd exactly call it just a mystery series, but and even like Pretty Boy Detectives, like Nishio Ishin does
Yeah.
mysteries, but they're mysteries, you know, like
Holmes of Kyoto.
yeah, but like
Hey, listen, the true mystery is to figure out what the fuck he's going on about. That's the true mystery.
sometimes definitely. But like, you know, like I'd love to get more titles like The Dark Maidens, Masquerade,
Yeah.
Masquerade and the Nameless Women, you know, like these ones that are more like mystery, convoluted, twisted and stuff like that. Yeah.
All
That,
titles that are not on Bookwalker.
yeah, I know. Well, and like this is what I mean though. Like, you know, I would really love to see, like, you see this in anime and manga, like we, you know, we've gotten anime that are more like mysteries. Like I was trying to remember the title of that other one, The Beautiful Bones, or
Yeah,
yeah,
Sakurako. Yep.
yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's the one of the necrophilic MILF and her schoolboy companion.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Wow. Wow. I would never describe it that way, but at the same time I can't argue. Uh, yeah, like it sounds way cringier when you put it that way, but it was like I really liked that series, and you know the way that the anime ends, it's actually building up to a bigger storyline, and then it's just like it's over, and I'm just like, what the?
Yeah, it's
you know,
it's like it's like a Sherlock Holmes thing. Like it's like Holmes versus Moriarty. Like they were
right.
building up this like major antagonist, and then it's
And
just,
then we just didn't bother
that's it.
going ahead.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see that kind of stuff. And I mean, I know those light novels exist in Japan because they get adapted into anime, and you know, like I would love to see that. Like those are my two big things I want, is like more paranormal and more mystery. That's
You
my
could try Homes of Kyoto, no paranormal there, but it does have a bit of mystery.
Yeah.
Just it's hidden among lots of culture and art.
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, Homes of Kyoto definitely. There was another one that was very similar to Homes of Kyoto, but it was a bookstore, and it was all about figuring out the sort of histories
Oh,
of these old
Biblia.
books.
It's like Biblia something.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There was a live action adaptation
Mhm.
of it that Crunchyroll had at one point, and now it's
Mhm.
gone because that's how things go
Yeah.
on Crunchyroll. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, those are the kind of things that I'm really wanting. And so when I see the detective is already dead, yes, I know it seems like it's going to be a little bit more light novel-ish than a mystery per
Mhm.
se, but I'm still, I'll give it a whirl, man. Like,
Mhm.
let's see what it's like. So, yeah, so but lots to look forward to. Like I said, there are 11 brand new series premiering in February alone. It's the supposedly, the 3 titles that we mentioned at the very top that Yen just licensed are going to be out
Mhm.
by the summer of 2021. But of course, you know, love you, Yen, but damn, you delay titles a lot. So I'm not going to put money that they'll actually be released at that time. And like Yen is famous for delaying something by 2 weeks, just like in the month that it's supposed to release. Like
Yeah.
Solo Leveling was supposed to come out, I guess a day or two ago, and nope. Like the first week in January, they're like, nah, it'll be out the first week of February.
Yeah, the last date I have for it is 26th of January. So
Nope,
maybe
February.
they delayed it again.
They delayed it again to February 2nd. I know, and I have confirmation because like I was talking to the marketing person at Yenon. I was like, why aren't you guys mentioning Solo Leveling for this month that's being released? And they're like, oh, it got pushed back to February. I'm like now? Like what? I'm like, we're 2 weeks into January. How'd you do that? But anyway, whatever.
Yeah, I
so-
think Bookwalker. I noticed the trend that Bookwalker doesn't even have any release dates for Yenon titles that are more than
Mm.
2 or 3 weeks in the future. You
Wow.
can Bookwalker. You can see from some publishers. You can see release dates up into March or April, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
from
well,
Yenon.
like I said, they've got some great titles. I like their books, but yeah, I wish they were as rock solid dependable as J Novel Club with their release dates. That would be nice. Like J Novel Club, it's like, yeah, we're releasing this book 3 months from now, and on that date, the damn book comes out. I'm like,
Yeah.
thank you very much. So yeah. I will give that prop to Sam. All right, so that'll be where we end this. Hey, even without 40 minutes of news, it was almost 2 hours, so look at that.
Yeah, good start to the year.
There you go. We're starting off the year on the right foot. In our next episode, we're finally going to do the promised Faraway Paladin, finish
Are
what's
you sure?
Yay.
I know, and we were gonna do it, and then I'm like, oh my god, January's almost over. We can't do like a 2020 wrap up in friggin' February or March. That's just dumb. So I was like, we're gonna have to push Faraway Paladin off. I know Bio was not happy with me, but but I promised and I swear, and it's absolutely gonna happen. Faraway Paladin is next. So yeah, so we're gonna talk about that one. The volumes 3.
Yes, I've had him sign it in a blood pact, so we've got it on paper.
Yeah, that's right. He made me mail him some of my blood just to prove it, so it's all good. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and to you, dear listeners, thank you so much for listening. We look forward to seeing you on our next program. Till then, bye for now. For show notes and related links, visit lightnovelpodcast.com.